Welcome, everybody. It's great to see so many of you here today at the global finals of the Global Sustainability Challenge. This is a project that's very close to my heart, because when I was born, walls were collapsing around Europe. And with the end of the Iron Curtain, a continent chose collaboration over division. I grew up believing in progress. We eliminated border controls, we created a joint currency. I grew up believing in science. The IPCC helped us to understand climate change. Renewable energies were rising. And yet, where are we today, almost 30 years later? Well, the borders are back, friction is rising, and when we look at climate, we are now at 2 degrees plus at full speed. And our planet is sending us signals. We have now crossed 7 of 9 planetary boundaries. 7. We have the largest energy crisis humanity has ever seen, and we have a massive food crisis. And we are leaving the space where it's safe to operate. That safe space that allowed us to build civilizations. And some of the changes that we are observing, our models can't even explain anymore. And this should make us uncomfortable. We are running a big experiment. It's not just testing limits, we are running an experiment on ourselves. But here's something that I have learned. This crisis is not a technical problem. It's a perception problem, because life does not work like a machine. Life is about networks, it's about connections, whether on a cellular level, on an organism, on a forest, on an ocean, or a city. Life is a connection of networks. And these networks are striving for adaptation. They are striving for regeneration. And all of you here are part of this network, helping to strive for adaptation and regeneration. So we know the technology, we know the science, and now the question is not what we do, but whether we act. And this was a big question that we were discussing the first time I met Arun Majumdar, the Dean of the Stanford Doerr School for Sustainability. We were sitting together and we were asking ourselves, how can we move from awareness to action, from conferences to commitment, from discussions to deployment? And then he said something that I will never forget. What if we created something like the Olympic Games for sustainability? A global competition where people come together across the globe to compete against each other. Not for medals, but for their shared future. And out of that idea emerged what you know today as the Global Sustainability Challenge. And the mission is simple. We educate, inspire, and mobilize youth worldwide for sustainability action. And now it's my great pleasure to hand over to my dear colleague Parul from Stanford University to tell you more about the Global Sustainability Challenge.
Thank you so much, Florian. And if all of you are here participating in the Global Sustainability Challenge or attending the TUM Sustainability Day, I'm sure you're already, I don't need to tell you why this is important, but wanted to impress upon the scale and the audacity of this mission that several of us set out to achieve. So there are about 1.8 billion young adults in the ages of 18 to 29 all over the world, of which about 250 million are in universities. And while the potential of this talent and creativity and of the ideas is immense, the mission of educating and empowering and unlocking that talent is not something any institution can handle alone. And that is why several of the leading universities around the world, many of whom you see here, as well as youth-serving nonprofits, got together to launch the very first Global Sustainability Challenge, not too long ago, just in September 2025. It was designed to be very multidisciplinary in nature and also very open, welcoming students from any discipline, any program, whether it's undergraduate, graduate, or PhDs, to share with us their creative ideas for energy and adaptation. We stuck to some core tenets, a few principles around fostering hands-on learning, real-world impact, and building community amongst people who care for sustainability. And that's how the challenge was designed to run through the academic year in 3 phases. And along the way, we had several of our founding institutions host milestone events at their institutions that you see here in China, India, here at TUM, and at Stanford University, before bringing us all together, the top 40 teams from over 6 continents together today to this massive moment. And it's not just about the competition. The competition itself, the idea behind a competition is not that great. There's many that abound, but it's really what you foster through that competition. And while we didn't know how students would respond, what we heard was incredibly moving and encouraging. And here are just words from a few students who are actually, some of them are with us today, and the words that they used about the impact that GSCA had had. They found it very motivating to be amongst a community of global innovators, to find incredible mentors who challenge their thoughts, to even transform the way that act as scientists, where they really keep the communities that they're serving in mind. And this is really the spirit behind the Global Sustainability Challenge that we want to foster beyond any winners or losers or prizes. So bit by bit, in just about 6 months, this has started to feel like a global movement. We've had over 3,000 students from 91 countries participate for the very first version of the challenge. And let me not actually just speak to it, but show you what this community is like. And here's a brief video that shows, in the words of the founding partners, as well as the students who shaped and touched the challenge in many ways, to say what it means to them.
Sustainability absolutely has to start with our generation.
Sustainability is important to our everyday lives.
If it does not start with us, then who? The time is now.
Collectively, youth can do things that individually they may not be able to achieve.
We stand at a critical moment for our planet.
That's why at Stanford, we are bringing universities from around the world together.
This is not just about raising awareness, it's about driving action.
Global Sustainability Challenge brings together talent across the whole planet.
It's a mechanism not only to compete with each other, but to create a global community.
It's about the fellowship it creates, the ideas it sparks, and how shared learning can drive local impact.
The Global Sustainability Challenge is launchpad.
It's how it gathers students from around the world to develop sustainability solutions together.
So all of the faces that you saw, the students, the leaders, are people who actually are involved in the challenge. And this is the community that all of you and all of us are now a part of. And with a simple sort of invitation to join this movement, to carry this flame back to wherever you're coming from, I'll hand it back to Florian. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Parul. And it's always amazing to see what has happened around the world in all these continents and the amazing projects you're all pushing. And now it is my big honor to introduce Jason to us on stage to give some motivating words. So Jason and we are working for quite some time now, and we are really trying to build moonshots, to really make a difference. Jason is from X, the moonshot factory from Alphabet, and he is actually building moonshots in sustainable energy, agriculture, and water. So please, Jason, come on stage. Thank you.
Welcome, finalists, builders, and world changers. I want to start by thanking the organizers and the facilitators today for an incredibly inspirational day, but most of all the competitors. I felt like a vampire of hope just feeding off your energy today, and I really needed that because it's tough times, right? It's tough times not just in climate, but in food security and water security, and some of the things that Florian was mentioning about the state of affairs. But I saw some incredible things today, and I'm so excited to hear more presentations shortly. I won't keep us for too long from that. We're here today, and you're here today, in particular the competitors, because you're leading global innovators in sustainability. Literally, that's how you got here. You've survived competitive rounds of pitching your visions for a better future, and you're here because you want to win, right? That's okay. You want to succeed here, and you want to improve the world, and I congratulate each of you for that. But rather than dwell on success, I want to talk to you about something else. I want to talk about losing. I want to talk about getting it wrong, and I want to talk about the absolute, non-negotiable necessity of failure. If I was to title this talk, I would call it Notes of a Professional Failer. And no, I'm not mispronouncing that word. I don't mean professional failure. That's someone that didn't make anything of their life. A professional failure is someone who gets paid to fail, and that's a much better thing to be. And I want you to think of life in that way, because by definition, you're working on things that currently don't work. And that means that statistically, it's going to be very hard to achieve success in the first go. What happens if you don't succeed? It's some version of failure. So when we speak about sustainability, we tend to speak in terms of being careful, preserving, doing no harm. And that makes a ton of sense when we're talking about our fragile ecosystems. We can't take huge chances with those systems. We don't want surgeons to take huge chances during surgery. There are places where high risk, high reward is not appropriate in that context. But I would challenge that in creating the solutions that will bring about a truly sustainable future, not taking chances, not taking risks is only slightly better than doing nothing at all. We're facing a planetary crisis that is growing at an exponential rate. You all know that. That's why you're here. We can't face exponential crises with comfortable incremental steps. We need to be more bold. You don't just need slightly more efficient recycling programs or supply chains. We need to transform these current exploitive and extractive industries with radically better ways of doing business and of feeding the earth, of feeding the humanity, of providing services, basic services for life. We need these bold and audacious bets. We need moonshots. And the heavy tax you pay for trying to create moonshots is, statistically speaking, you will fail. In fact, many times if you allow for it. I know this because I have paid that heavy tax several times in my career. And I'll just summarize one of my more recent epic failures so that you might feel a little bit more comfortable failing yourself. In 2019, I launched a climate tech company out of MIT, and I genuinely believed it would revolutionize agriculture and remove at least 1.5 gigatons of carbon from the atmosphere. Over the next 4 years, I hired my dream team. I raised tens of millions of dollars from incredible investors, and we built some of the largest agricultural robots on the planet. Things felt pretty good. 2 years later, I was crying in my garage because I knew I was going to have to let go of this entire team. I was going to have to send these beautiful first-of-a-kind machines to the scrapyard, and I was going to have to face the uncertainty of life, of failing in public, which is not comfortable. My folly was in several areas. It would take more time than we have today to tell you all the failures of that, but I'll highlight a couple. I underestimated the importance of regulatory timelines. It takes longer than you think. Many things take longer than you think, and it was hard to accommodate that as a business. I overemphasized the importance of raising money from investors versus having happy customers that were paying for a service that they wanted more of. And I ignored my gut about pivoting to a better business model when I really felt it deeply because I thought I might be wrong, and I didn't want to be wrong about that. So I just kept doing what we said we'd be doing to the point of failing. It was the hardest realization of my professional life. I had failed, it wasn't going to work, and I had to kill my dream, at least that version of it. And at the time, that failure felt insurmountable. It was a badge of shame. I had let down all of these people that technically were the people that had believed in me, that loved me the most, that wanted to see this through. This was my employees, my investors, my customers, my family, my friends, myself. And it felt like it might have been a colossal waste of time. That had occurred to me time and time again in this period. These are natural feelings in one way, but they were also wholly incorrect. I now have perspective on it. That 6-year journey that I took with these amazing people was immensely valuable. Everyone on that team became better scientists, entrepreneurs, practical thinkers, problem solvers, and proven survivors of this deep disappointment, because I wasn't the only one who felt disappointed. Everyone cared, arguably as much as I did. And they emerged from that, and I'm happy to say several of them have launched climate tech companies in a really harsh environment in the United States for launching climate tech companies, and they're doing great. I'm also happy to report that I'm back on 2 feet and fully engaged in this sport of willful failure. I work at Google's Moonshot Factory, focused on launching new innovations in energy, agriculture, water. And I fully expect to fail many more times before I achieve the impact that I'm after. But I'm more prepared for it. And I think any person that's invented anything eventually learns that failure is not the opposite of success, it's the prerequisite. It's a corny thing to say. I'd heard it so many times before, but once you've lived it, you truly understand. You have to fail to succeed. In science experiments, if it doesn't work out, a good scientist doesn't start screaming and throw the beaker against the wall. They record the data. The failure is the data. The universe has just given you this incredible gift of information you did not have before. You now know another way that that doesn't work. You've shined a light in a dark area of the room. And if we look at the history of the technologies that are sustaining our stay on Earth, there's some pretty interesting histories there. The first solar panels were horribly inefficient and incredibly expensive. The first wind turbines literally shook themselves to pieces because they hadn't accounted for eddy forces. The pioneers of electric vehicles, which were decades ago, arguably 19th century, even if you look carefully enough, were bankrupted and mocked for this crazy, silly idea. However, could that work? They failed, and they failed again until they succeeded. They initiated this progress that we're all the beneficiaries of through friction and failure. So for those of you who build your companies, launch your prototypes and deploy these solutions in the real world, some of your technologies will break under physical pressure. Many of your business models will fail under financial or political pressure. Most of you, unfortunately, will have to stand in front of people you care about and say some of the hardest words in any language. This didn't work, we have to do something else. And when that happens, and if you're aiming to improve an entire planet, it will happen, I want you to remember this moment and this room. And to make that memory lock in, I want you to look to your left, look to your right, and I want you to fist bump somebody next to you. I want you to take this seriously. We're adding more senses to the memory, so you'll remember it more deeply. You showed up to do a really important thing here, and so did the person you just bumped fists with. You have the perseverance not just to see your ideas surpass incredible challenges, but also to try something else if it doesn't work. And I really want you to remember that a failed prototype or a failed business is not a failed existence. It is just the tax you pay for improving the world. So in closing, we do not have time for you to play it safe and to make incremental steps. We need you to risk your time on this unproven solution to massive problems that you're working on and the ones that come after that. We need you to have the audacity to look at this deeply broken global system and say, I might be able to fix that, even when these odds are stacked against you. Celebrate your successes, yes, absolutely, but respect your failures equally. Mine them for every ounce of data, every tough lesson, and every piece of truth they bring you. Then get up, adjust your hypothesis, and build the next thing. The one failure we cannot tolerate collectively is the failure to act on this. So while I wish you all the success in the long run, may I also wish you a lifetime of productive failures along the way. Thank you, and congratulations to all of you.
Thank you, Jason, for sharing your experiences. I think really soak it up. It's so valuable what Jason just shared. And now we're coming to the part that you were all waiting for, and you're going to see some of the great solutions that emerged from the Global Sustainability Challenge. I had only a few minutes to put together more than 200 slides, so he sent me a lot of slides. There might be some formation issues, so if you notice anything is off, just roll over it, okay? So now it's my great pleasure to introduce onto stage the first team, Team Cool Fish. So here are your microphones. You can pick up the microphones. And this is your clicker. And then the stage is yours.
Imagine working 14 hours on the open sea. You haul in a life-sustaining catch, only to watch most of it rot before it reaches your plate. This isn't just food waste. It's a loss of dignity, a loss of income, and a loss of livelihood. Good afternoon. We are Team Cool Fish, and we are here to bridge the cooling gap. The empty net problem. More than 200 million livelihoods across 58 nations depend on small-scale coastal fishing. Indonesia alone faces $7.2 billion loss annually, and 80% of their catch is lost due to a lack of reliable cold storage solutions. We didn't just look at the numbers, we went to the source. We interviewed a village in Indonesia, a fisherman village, where they told us the same story, that the grid is unstable and diesel prices are too expensive. These fishermen are forced to undersell their catch at low prices to avoid total loss. These fishermen are not just fighting the waves, they are fighting time. So why hasn't this problem been solved? Because the fishermen are trapped. Conventional cooling systems are eating away their profits. And here is the big paradox. The paradox is that the tropical heat that is causing this crisis is also providing abundant solar energy. This is a $1.1 billion market in Indonesia alone, with expansion potential across Latin America, Africa, and Southeast Asia, with $15 billion potential added value for Asia and Africa by 2030. So this is not just a resource problem, this is an energy storage problem.
So after our story was shared, we introduced to you our solution. Meet the Cool Fish unit. 100% off-grid and fossil-free cold storage system designed for the edge of the world and designed for those who need them the most. What sets us apart here is the precision in our engineering. We've optimized the thermal management so it can sustain the steady temperatures even in the 40-degree conditions in the areas that were previously mentioned. This unit, our solution, runs completely on solar energy. It stores 300 kilograms of fish daily, and it can serve up to 100 fishermen. Unfortunately, these areas of the world, areas that are shown here, they often don't have access to electricity, access to the grid, which is why our solution runs completely on the energy that these areas get from the PV panels. We have focused on two main failure points in our project, which are transport and maintenance. When it comes to the transport, our cool fish unit is foldable and scalable for the demand of the fishermen, meaning that it can be transported to even the far, far away remote islands only by a simple boat. When it comes to the maintenance, unfortunately, in these areas, you don't have the access to the maintenance as you would have in some big companies. So we have thought about that as well. We have ensured that we use widely available components in our system, which means that if you are catching fish one day and you notice a problem with the system, people from the village, local technicians, can come and fix it within hours. This means no upfront cost and no maintenance stress for these people. Business model. When we talk about technology and technological solutions, that is only half of the story. We have to make sure that the business model is good as well. So we are using the cooling as a service. In and throughout cooling as a service model, we ensure adoption, which means these fishermen and people who will use our solution will only pay small daily fee per crate. The fish that they will save this way far exceeds the actual fee they already paid, which means that adoption is economically obvious. Furthermore, we prioritize women operational hubs because we want to ensure social equity and we want to sustain the long-term community ownership.
Our next step is to validate and deploy our product in the real life. So for now, we are raising funds for our MVP through targeted grants. In phase 2, we are planning to raise our CAPEX by joining strategic sustainable cooling networks. And for phase 3, we plan to reinvest our profits from our pilot operations and to grow more and scale up as we go. Our whole system serves a positive feedback loop. As we reduce the spoilage of the fish catch from the sea, we reduce the economic pressure on the fishermen to catch more. As a result, they don't have to go out and catch as many fish because they can earn more with catching way less, since the fish are not being spoiled. So the marine ecosystems are staying intact, and economically, the fishermen are thriving. Our impact addresses multiple sustainable goals, increasing the income, reducing the impact on our nature, and also reducing carbon emissions, because we are using 100% clean energy and no diesel or carbon emission is being thrown out from our system. We are a team of 6 students with one goal: to build resilient climate solution in this world. Our goal is to take global challenges, and our global perspective helps us to address these challenges in a precise way. We are Team Coolfish, preserve the catch, power the community. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Team Coolfish. So next up is Team PowerBlocks. And I believe Team PowerBlocks is online. They sent us a video link. Unfortunately, the link is not working. So quick question to the amazing people from the tech. Would it be possible if we try to let them speak over their slides? If not, then we skip this presentation. Team PowerBlocks, are you online? Okay. So we're coming to the next team. And now it is my pleasure to ask on stage Unipero Energy. Please have a mind, you have like 5 minutes.
This is South Africa, December 2025.
This is Southeast Asia, November of 2025.
And this is Guam, just last week. Climate change is causing dramatic increases in both the frequency and severity of extreme weather events like cyclones and monsoons that are causing dramatic flooding events like these ones. Extreme flooding affects tens of millions of people yearly and kills thousands every year. But that's not all. Each of these extreme flooding events can knock out the grid, cutting off power to hundreds of thousands of people. But this loss of power doesn't just mean that they lose their refrigeration and lights. It means that they lose access to emergency medical services and critical medical devices. And this results in a second wave of deaths that happens days after the flooding. Providing decentralized access to power can save hundreds of lives every year. We are Junipero Energy. My name is Danny. I'm studying material science. Miles, unfortunately, couldn't be here today.
I'm Panos. I study mechanical engineering.
I'm Connor, and I study electrical engineering.
We met in the energy-themed dorm at our freshman year at Stanford University, and we designed a power module to provide this life-saving, decentralized access to power for these flood victims.
So, meet Hydrovolt. Hydrovolt is a dual-phase microhydro fuel cell generator that produces floods during and in the immediate aftermath of catastrophic flooding events. To design Hydrovolt, we spoke to flood survivors, and we found out that there is no existing solution that works. Generators, they're too expensive. We spoke to Jackson, who survived Hurricane Harvey and lost power for 3 days, and he told us that he actively decided not to buy a generator because it was too expensive. Generators also don't produce clean energy. And then batteries, they simply run out. We've spoken to flood survivors that lost power for up to 2 weeks. Even the most prepared households, which will have some batteries, will have to recharge. And therefore, there is no affordable option for power generation during floods.
So, we created a module that uses the resources that are inherently abundant during and after floods as the renewable fuel inputs. We use mechanical movement from water, whether that's from the actual flooding or the rains that follow afterward, as well as the salt and seawater from coastal floods to use as the electrolyte in our fuel cell.
You can see a rendering of our design above. Basically, we have a water wheel that can be spun by water, say from rain or from a gutter, or if you have some sort of runoff running by your house. That will feed into a power regulator, which then leads into our electrical box, which will store that energy for later when your phone needs it or a small medical device needs it. We also have our fuel cells, which are magnesium air fuel cells that activate when they're put in salt seawater. So if you're in a coastal community and you experience coastal flooding, then you can put them in the floodwater and they'll activate.
We talked to actual flood survivors who lost power in catastrophic flooding events and implemented their feedback into our prototype. So we had originally designed our solution to fit in the gutter of a street where we assumed that flood currents would be highest, but then we learned from Jackson that in Hurricane Harvey, even though the floods rose to 8 feet on his street, that water was largely slow-moving or even still. So we pivoted to a system that sits at the bottom of a gutter to harness the energy from mechanical movement from the rains that followed for days after the initial storm. Also from our interviews, we had overall just positive feedback on the fuel cell in general, and we heard from Alex in Guam that any additional power is useful, so we added a catalyst to speed up the oxidation reaction in our fuel cell, and we increased our magnesium supply just to increase the overall capabilities of our fuel stack. Now, we know that for a solution like this, the most important part is getting it into the hands of the people that need it the most. So over the next 3 to 6 months, we want to secure grants to distribute these to the people in the communities that live near Jackson, Alex, and Joe in these high-risk flood zones, then we can get field-tested feedback to iterate for our next prototype. Then we want to partner with larger organizations like Red Cross, who we're meeting with next week, to identify the highest risk zones where the infrastructure is lowest so we can roll out this solution there. Then we actually want to transition to B2C sales. We have indication from some of our jurors from regionals who live in high flood risk zones that they would pay for this solution, but we want to keep it accessible all around the world, and we know that people can't pay for a solution even at this lower cost, so we want to maintain a one module bought equals one module donated. As we know, climate change is real, and it's very easy to focus only on future-facing goals, carbon emissions mitigation, and the clean energy transition, but there are people suffering the effects of climate change today who need power today, and our solution can be rolled out and save lives now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Team Royal Spark. Weather extremes are going to increase, and I'm looking forward to see your product improving the livelihood of many people. Now, next on stage, Royal Spark. Here you go. You have 5 minutes to present, and please take a microphone.
Ladies and gentlemen, what is Royal Spark? For the past 2 years, Zambia has experienced a power crisis due to climate change. Now imagine a boy who's in university and has been given an AutoCAD assignment that's worth 50% of his grade. Due to said power crisis, he only has power for 4 hours a day. His PC keeps shutting down, he submits the assignment 3 hours late, he fails the course, he repeats the year. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that boy is me. The shame stuck with me for so long, and I couldn't help but wonder, if this could happen to me, what about the village boy with no power? What about the mother who needs to tend and feed her children but cannot preserve the food? What about the vaccines without refrigeration to keep them still? So this is the team. It comprises of myself as the mechanical engineer, Faith Mfune, the legal head, Mark Avambala, the publicity and marketing head, and Mr. James Sikunji, the technical fabricator. The solution: we are offering an integrated micro-hydro turbine unit that provides 24/7 renewable power to these rural households. How it works? Well, it just starts with water flowing through the turbine, which moves the blades, which moves the runner, that in turn moves the generator, and that produces electricity. Such a simple process for a large impact. And we are working with a head of 5 meters. That head of 5 meters will produce about 8 kilowatts of power. So it's been locally built and fabricated using available materials. This can be scrap metal, aluminum, just trying to recycle and help in the grid. Secondly, we offer community and trained maintenance. Lastly, it's a simple design that can be easily maintained. And above it all, community technicians and people within the village can learn and get jobs through it. So we've established a CFD and finite element analysis. We ran the test and we discovered that it was producing about 6.85 kilowatts of power. So what is our business model? First of all, we have system sales of the integrated turbine unit. One turbine costs about $400. For us to make it, it's costing about $250. So we have a net profit of $150. We offer installation and on-site support for people who want to put it up there. There's maintenance and training contracts that we give to the people so that they can be accredited dealers with us. So, who are our clients? First of all, we are dealing with the B2G, which are the government organizations which have been charged to provide energy access across the grid. Lastly, we are dealing with NGOs such as WWF Zambia, who've been really supportive in trying to get us to the community. We've been interviewing different people, and we've learned a lot from this. Yes, and lastly, the community cooperatives. Yes, maybe they might not come together and buy one right there at the go, but then we can offer it to them and do a subscription service where we're getting in little by little so that we can get profit back. So, as you can see, over the next 5 years, our levelized cost of energy is actually the cheapest. All this, and yet it's still the cheapest compared to other forms of energy. So, what is our impact? First of all, it's 60% cheaper than imports and accessible. Last, we can produce a levelized cost of energy that is low. It's suitable for harsh terrain. The environmental impact of it all. We displace about 5 tons of carbon through diesel emissions. Using this, we do not need large dams or construction sites that displace ecosystems. Because of this, we can help sustain heritage and produce it for generations and generations to come. Lastly, we are powering 15 to 25 rural households. That's 15 to 25 families. We are giving employment to 3 to 5 local jobs. That's 3 to 5 breadwinners. So this is our pilot and scaling plan. In phase 1, we are planning to develop 3 community villages of 3 different capacity sizes, 2 kilowatts, 5 kilowatts, and 10 kilowatts. So doing that, we are able to see what needs to be done, what improvements can be done. From that, we access the governmental cooperatives and scale it up to 20 villages. And then from there, we spread it out to the region. That can be the sub-African region. So this is our ask. We are asking for $6,500 to deploy the 3 pilot communities. This is the budget breakdown of what the $6,500 will be used for. So, as you can see, so in our closing, Royal Spark River Box, even the smallest river can light up a village. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for this wonderful presentation. And now it is my honor to welcome on stage Team C2 Energy. This is your presenter. You have 5 minutes. Here's the microphone. Thank you.
Imagine a world in where waste could be turned into power and where the materials that drives energy can come from algae. Good evening, everyone. We are C2 Energy, and we are here to present an integrated sustainable energy pathways that comes with microalgae and plastic waste to produce the next generation materials for the energy industries. Right now, the challenges in the energy systems presents critical bottlenecks. Specifically in the battery productions, we depend heavily on graphite. The graphite productions is hardly energy intensive, but also it is high in carbon footprint. And more importantly, it affects the supply chains, with mostly all being located in geographically concentrated areas. So the question arises, can we have a system that is more circular, cleaner, and local?
We are facing sargassum blooms in the Caribbean and also algae blooms around the world. In 2025, the accumulations reached around 38 million of tons of sargassum, forming the Great Atlantic Sargassum Belt. And millions of tons of plastics enters in the ocean yearly. This is an opportunity of feedstock and a circular approach to a sustainable energy. Our solution takes the sargassum and the plastic waste to transform through hydrothermal liquefaction technology to a biofuel, syngas, and our proposed star, the biochar, a high-performance material for energy and other advanced applications.
Now let's dive into the science of why this material is so powerful. Macroalgae naturally contains a rich biopolymer matrix. When carbonized, most of its functional groups are exposed, and it creates a highly desirable hierarchical structure. If we take a look carefully at the SEM images, we can see a distribution of the micro, meso, and macropores. Now, porosity is a switchable, and it acts as a scaffold for ion exchange, which is an ideal property when we try to functionalize with electroactive species. But how does it perform where it counts? If we look at our radar chart, biochar performs like a high-grade soft carbon with a different cost and many other advantages over traditional graphite. It also opens 3 different mechanisms of lithiation and delithiation, having intercalation, pore filling, and adsorption. Another breakthrough is the kinetics. If we take a look at the table, we can see that by loading biochar with magnetite nanoparticles, we can massively decrease the charge transfer resistance by a 99.9%. So what's the result from this? It's a massive jump of specific capacity over 1,300 milliampere hour per gram at open circuit voltage. By doing this, we are not just replacing graphite, we are engineering a smarter electrode. And we close the loop with the recycled plastics. We perform biochar and PE composite, and we tested as for 3D print and filament applications. Now, if we take a look at the FTIR spectra, we see a flawless integration of the biochar within the biopolymer matrix. Also that this biochar does not degrade the polymer base. Also, we performed some mechanical properties. We saw a massive reinforcement of the filament. But most prominently and interesting is that for the thermal analysis, if we add biochar up to 5%, it delays the thermal degradation of the plastic up to 490 Celsius. Why is this important? Well, we are trying to get rid of the plastics, but if we repurpose them for thermal demanding applications such as battery packaging and so on, then we can give another purpose to the plastics.
Now this is where it gets truly competitive. Our system achieves to $5 to $7 of minimum sales price, in which is 30 to 7% cheaper than graphite production for anode batteries. But most importantly, we have a negative 490 kilograms CO2 emissions that doesn't make us only a low emission carbon, but a carbon negative. Here you can observe how is Puerto Rico our ideal state, but this can be applied to any part that has a biomass in excess. So we can have different types of startup companies, from the collection of Stargasm up to the biochar activation for the battery market, and making a circular economy production.
Therefore, we have various means of impact. We are climate resilient due to the means that we have a negative carbon footprint. We are water resilient due to the prevention of marine abundance of sargassum. We have a social and economic impact due to the convergence of sargassum into energy, into high-value source of energy for batteries, and we're environmentally friendly due to the reduction of the relevance of graphite production, synthetic graphite production. We would like to thank all our mentors, especially Dr. Liz Diaz, our collaborators, and we are C2 Energy, and we look forward to scale this solution.
Much. Thank you. Yeah. Wonderful example for turning environmental problem like the sargassum bloom into an opportunity. Next on stage, Amplify Energy. And you have 5 minutes for your presentation. Please go ahead.
Currently, 600 million people lack access to electricity. Most of them live in sub-Saharan Africa. It's estimated that to be able to hit universal energy access, 60% of the new connections needed are going to come from off-grid systems. This is a $30 billion market. However, the investment trend has been decreasing in the last few years. Only in 2024, about $300 million was invested in off-grid systems, and most of that is going to the current players in solar home systems. So we have found that there's a valley of death, which is for developers that have already received grant funding for their first batch of projects, but there is still little for the big development finance from international philanthropies. This is what we call the missing middle. So where is currently the money going through now? This is going to mostly solar home systems, which is great, however, because they provide fast deployment and access to first-time users. However, this is mostly for lighting purposes or for charging phones. The big gap is in the mini-grids investment. This is the big hurdle. And in fact, mini-grids are the ones who are going to power the local economies.
Now, Alejandra told us a little bit about what the technology looks like. She's told us about how the developers are out there working on this problem. Now let's talk about the money. Did you know that there's $1 billion already committed to solar off-grid energy access projects? But 60% of it sits in donor accounts, sitting idle. Why? We learned that a lot of these funds are being dispersed through results-based financing. Essentially, this means that the funding doesn't get sent out until after the project is built. Now, currently, developers today, they fund their construction financing entirely through their own cash. And that's where we come in. Amplify Energy looks to deliver low-cost construction financing for mini-grid developers. And this catalyzes the ecosystem in two ways. First, it increases deployment speed. Because with the same amount of cash, mini-grid developers are able to build more projects. And the second way is that we'll be structuring these funds using recoverable grants. And so, over time, as this money comes back, we can start to build the case for bringing more commercial capital into this sector. Now, another thing that we looked at is we looked at the landscape of the competitors to understand what is the cost of financing throughout the entire lifetime of a mini-grid development project. And one of the things that we learned is that this low-cost construction financing is what is missing. And that is where Amplify Energy can fill this gap. Now, we know that there are a lot of developers. We certainly know that there's plenty of money. Now, what our platform does is bring the two together. Now, the first thing that we'll do is build the developer database. We want to show the world how many developers are out there and who the top performers are and where they're operating. From there, that enables us to to conduct tech-enabled due diligence and applying remote AI-enabled due diligence using satellite imagery as well as mobile money verification platforms to monitor and verify projects on the ground. And here's where it gets interesting, is that from there, we're able to bring more projects in and batch them together using the criteria that funders determine and bring different developers into ticket sizes where funders will be into tickets where funders will very easily be able to say yes.
After consultations with stakeholders from across the sector, we honed in on Nigeria as our first target market, a country that is home to the world's largest unelectrified population at 90 million people. Thanks to the Global Sustainability Challenge, our project progressed from the drawing board to a pilot phase. And we are currently working with the Rural Electrification Agency to validate our approach and help move the $750 million that the World Bank committed to mini-grids in Nigeria. We are on a pathway to financial sustainability through 3 revenue streams. First, transaction fees on our funds. Second, providing paid due diligence service to third-party users. And then providing database access to our unique energy access analytics. Our solution will directly finance deployment of mini-grids. But our goal is to tackle a systemic challenge, reduce perceived risk to crowd in billions of dollars of private capital into energy access. This is how we can close energy access gap. This is Amplify Energy. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And do we have now a video? Thumbs up, thumbs down, otherwise we continue. Thumbs up, the video is coming.
Hi, we're PowerBlocks. We're a clean tech startup that aims to make clean energy more accessible and more affordable to the most underserved communities. We're founded by a team of 2 co-founders that understand what energy security feels like. I'm Yara Sidley, I'm an energy engineer based here in Jordan, and my co-founder is Dana, she's an AI engineer, also based here in Jordan. We're both undergraduate students at Princess Amaya University of Technology, but we're both also Sudanese. And coming from a place such as Sudan, living in Jordan, we've witnessed so many humanitarian crises unfold. And one common theme across all these crises was access to electricity and how it perpetuated the cycle of poverty and, just limited access to basic services as it prolonged. Meet Asma. Asma is also Sudanese. She was an aspiring architectural engineering student in Kazala, a small village in Sudan. She had to undergo a relatively common and easy appendectomy surgery, but Asma unfortunately did not make it. The power cut mid-surgery, and because of that, doctors were unable to continue it, and unfortunately, Asma lost her life. What's even more unfortunate is that this is not an individual case. Over 3.5 billion people around the world lack access to reliable or affordable electricity, and over 730 million do not have access to electricity at all, limiting them to basic services such as healthcare, education, or even water. So we decided to solve that. We thought of deploying solar and battery combinations that are modular and containerized so that they can be deployed in less than 48 hours. And to manage that and optimize the solar and battery systems, we developed an AI system that can monitor it and make decisions depending on the changing circumstances around it. But we had one problem. We wanted to make sure that the end users, such as Asma, do not pay the cost of this electricity. And because these underserved communities are in very fragile contexts, we really wanted to think of an operating and business model that ensures that it is sustainable, it is not grant-based, and that these communities are actually served. So we came up with the anchor load model, where we deploy and sell these power blocks to a high power consuming load. So there's a telecom tower. That telecom tower is served with faster, cheaper, and more reliable electricity that is also clean. And we designed these power blocks to generate more electricity, more energy than the anchor load needs. And that excess can go to the surrounding community infrastructures and supply them with also reliable, clean, fast, and cheap electricity. For clients such as telecom operators, we developed a scales management system where they can see all of their connections and optimize them in one. And because we're replacing a service such as, or rather a product such as diesel generators, we're targeting a global market of more than 50 billion. And as diesel prices continue to soar and solar and battery prices continue to decrease, this option is very, very lucrative for clients that have been operating with diesel generators for so long. And considering the geopolitical context that we're currently going through, this idea and theme of energy security and resilience has become even more and more important. With that being said, we predict that we can capture over 7 million in annual recurring revenue if we actually proceed with the targets that we have in mind. Our business model is pretty straightforward. Clients have the option to either purchase the power block or to use it as energy as a service. If they do purchase it for a set price plus, operational and maintenance charges, they can sell this excess electricity to the surrounding communities at a discounted price. So they achieve payback in a very short period of time. They can also choose energy as a service, where they just pay a fixed fee and further consumption. Either ways, we ensure that through whatever business model, the power block is deployed in that remote community. The anchor load is supplied with electricity, and they serve as, the capital deploying entity, and then the surrounding community does get access to electricity as well at affordable prices, if not free. There are so many other, companies and entities working in microgrids and solar microgrids. However, not all of them, or actually barely any of them, work in fragile contexts, where we're built to actually tailor and deliver services to these communities and contexts. We're also software native. So even if the hardware, power blocks, does not exist, we can deploy our software into any microgrid that can actually supply and manage and optimize, the supply of energy to the surrounding community. We're also the fastest in doing so. So far, we've been in discussions with a telecom partner, Orange Jordan, in collaboration with UNRWA, to deploy our pilot in a refugee camp that has been losing or has been in a lot of power outages due to the decreasing funding in the region. We've also been in communication with the Ministry of Telecommunication in Sudan to serve as an energy backbone for 4G rollout in 200 villages. And if that succeeds and we successfully do that, we'll be able to reach more than 1 million villagers and people across, Sudan in less than a year. We're currently raising over 150,000 to deploy our pilot in Baga, primarily, as we have the interest from both UNRWA and Orange, and they're willing to cover part of the cost, and we're just raising to cover the rest as well. Our 5-year plan includes deploying more than 1,000 sites, reaching more than 4 million people, offsetting 100,000 tons of CO2, and displacing 19 million from diesel, from costs that would have been invested in diesel directly. And think of this, these costs can be reinvested in the community and other things that are not just electricity, whatever it may be, whether it's schools, whether it's hospitals, whether it's roads, and all of these contribute to all of these sustainable development goals, because we're powering clinics, we're powering schools, we're powering water pumps, we're delivering clean electricity, we're powering small businesses as well, and we're ensuring that they're sustainable and climate resilient. And the most important impact is that stories like Smat's, where power outages took life, should not happen again, ever, in these communities. So we urge you to be a part of this impact and join us in delivering it.
So the audio was a little tricky, but what an interesting project. So we have seen now a couple of very inspiring projects in the field of sustainable energy. And now it is my great pleasure to switch over to another big and important field, which is adaptation and resilience. And the first team I want to welcome to stage is Ecomolecule. So you have a timer down here. Please be very strict with your time and stick to it, because we're running a little bit behind time. Thank you.
Hi, we're Team Ecomolecule. Here to stop microplastic from the source. Raise your hand if you use washing machine. More. Well, 35% of microplastic actually comes from washing machines. Why? Because our clothes, 65 to 70% of the market is dominated by polyester. Polyester shreds microplastics, and that goes to our rivers and lakes, ending up to our food. And we eat 50,000 microplastics per year. Have you ever wondered why nowadays a lot of people have allergies to pollens and etc.? There's scientific research showing that there's a correlation between microplastic exposure and allergies. So France said enough is enough. By 2025, they mandated all washing machines to be equipped with microplastic filter. UK, EU, US, and Australia are following.
So introducing KaitoTrap, a microplastics filter for your washing machine. It is able to capture up to 97% of microplastics. But you may ask, how do we do this? Well, the answer is Kaito-san. It is a material derived from crustacean shells, and it has properties that allows it to capture microplastics, which is why we've adopted it into our filter system. So, looking into our product, so it might not be very visible here, but it contains 2 compartments. The top compartment contains activated carbon, and that captures surfactants, and the bottom section contains our Kaito-san-coated banana fiber mesh that captures microplastics. And our entire product development is very user-centered. So, we'll show you now. This is a washing machine, or imagine it is. Okay, we're going to turn it around, and normally they have an outlet, and that goes straight into our KaitoTrap. And that's how it works. So it's designed to be very easy to install. You do not need any plumbers to help you with anything. We also have bypass channels for clogging safety. No electricity is required. It's completely passive. It's low cost. And cartridges are really easy to be replaced. And then looking into our competitive landscape, our ethos is to use green materials that are abundant and normally seen as waste. And that allows us to lower the manufacturing price point, and that is good for our customers, obviously. But there is also one thing that we can do that none of our competitors can do, which is to capture nanoplastics, which are much smaller than microplastics, and more difficult to capture, actually. And so we've had a lot of progress since phase 2, but Medina, what exactly have we done?
Yeah, that's a good question, and we actually done a lot. We interviewed more than 50 individuals all over the UK, Germany, and India in order to get a real feedback. We installed our first KaitoTrap in Hostel 7 of IIT Bombay, and it actually worked. We improved every aspect of our product in order to come from this to this. And it's amazing. Yeah, so what are our next steps? We only need 2.8% of the market in order to build a 35 million euro company. And how we will do that? First of all, we will concentrate ourselves on prototype testing and finalize a patent. After that, we're going to develop a cartridge replacement system and make a market-ready product. And then we'll be ready for B2C and B2B launch. So this is how we'll make money, and yeah.
And the best part, that 2.8% of market adoption in the EU will capture up to 1,200 microplastic tons per year. In the last 6 weeks, we've won UCLVZ competition. Oh.
Up, yeah, it's really up. Sorry, the 5 minutes are up.
Thank you for listening.
Sorry. Sorry about that. But otherwise, we will get kicked out of the room and we cannot hand over certificates. Team Local, please come to stage. And you know the game, 5 minutes. I will be very strict now.
Test. Moo! This is the sound of global warming. The sound of cows burping, farting, and hurting our planet. How's right? Because every time when the cows is burping and farting, it releases a gas called methane. Imagine that we group every single cow on the planet as a one country. This cow country will be the third largest greenhouse gas emitters all over the world. But the cows are not going away because people still love beef and people still love cheese. So what we can do instead is we need to make the cow industry sustainable. And right now, it's have the solution like the raised seaweed that can reduce the methane emissions in the cow stomach. However, the price is extremely high, and it focuses only on the sustainability part. But you know what? Sustainability doesn't always pay, because for farmers, the profits that matters. So if we really want to save the world, we need to help farmers making more profit too. And this is where locals come in. We found groundbreaking solutions that can solve all of this problem using cacao waste. After adding just 2% of our feed to the main feed of the cows, we can reduce the methane emissions up to 44%. And it's not just about the methane part. We also make the cows of the farmers grow faster up to 20%, and also making it healthier. Picture this. Normally, farmers need 15 months to raise one cow, but with local, they can raise them only 12 months, saving over 3 months and over $300 in terms of the cost. And not just about the beef cows, about the dairy cows, we also improve the milk qualities that they can sell the milk at a better price, up to 45%, like from the fat that is more and the proteins in the milk as well. So all of this we already take with the blood test of the cow that it don't have any negative effect for the cows. And even reduce the stress and inflammation is implied on this. And all of this can make the end product of the farmers even better by claiming as a low-carbon beef and the low-carbon milk. The slide is wrong. Okay, so right now, we are not just about the idea. We already implement it and expand this to a lot worldwide. Right now, we already sold to over 10,000 of the cows already and generate over 140,000 of the US dollar in the supply already. And you might wonder that how do we do all of this? The answer is about the cacao waste. Right now, every year, 24 billion kilograms of the cacao waste are being thrown away. And the cacao waste is not just the waste that anyone can go and grab it and transform to be the cow feed. We developed the trade secret for over 3 years to transform the cacao waste into the high-feed cacao powders. And combine this with our patents and also the feed formulas, we can give this cacao waste a second life. And behind all of this is a group of young innovators that come from many experience. I'm responding in terms of the technical things and the engineering, and alongside with experts from both the cacao fields and the cow fields, we're turning this into the high solutions that pay for everyone. So from all of this, sustainability finally pays. Not just the thing that you need to pay to save the world, but we also can survive and eat with it. And all of this will take local to global, not just turning waste into value, but uplifting farmers and commodities wherever we go. So join us and be the world's first unique cows. Thank you.
Wonderful presentation. And up next is Team Pietgaard. Maybe Team Plan X Science can already get ready. You're the next ones. Here you go. You also have 5 minutes.
Okay. You want to? Hi everyone, my name is Delphina.
I'm Louis.
And we are from Piedgard. Okay, before we start, we are here for sustainability, and one of the key main points of sustainability today is carbon. So what's the first word that comes to mind when we think about, let's say, carbon sink? Anyone? Trees. Oceans. Forest. I hear one. Okay, so true. Okay, all these ecosystems are true. But do you know that there's one other ecosystem that stores twice as much carbon as the entire world's forests combined? And they're called peatlands. And most of you guys probably have never heard of them. So in Indonesia alone, 7 million hectares of peatlands are degraded, emitting about $6 billion worth of carbon credit value. And we have identified 2 key problems. The first one is that carbon restoration projects focus on passively preventing further degradation of peatlands, not actively restoring degraded ones. Secondly, there's no incentives for communities to restore these lands, even though they know how to. So therefore, we need a credible and community-driven system to build this peatland ecosystem, and that's what Piedgard aims to build. So our solution comes over 4 main steps. First, detecting peatland hotspots through satellite detection. So we use Sentinel-1 data, and then across this tree of subsidence mapping, VV-West scatter, and this overlay logic, we're able to find hotspots or drainage sources in these peatlands. And then we push these tasks to the Piedgardian application for our villagers to use. And then these tasks are dispatched to the villagers down to the exact meter, calculated from the peat topology. And now villagers are mobilized to take action. They block canals, or they build drill wells, or they place sensors or collect data. So after that, locals attach a geotagged and timestamped photos as evidence to the app. And then after that, we use satellite verification again to verify the restoration. Okay, and after that, they get their money and they get paid. They're happy, yay! So all these forms of continuous stream of data from satellite, sensors, and documentation of locals serve as a backbone for our carbon credit generation to the Vera registry. So now let's move on to our pilot project.
We want to make it real. We want to make it happen. Imagine if we can restore all these peatlands. Maybe we can reverse climate change. Don't imagine. Let's take a look at what we have done so far. So actually now we are running a pilot project at West Kalimantan. So over on the left, you can see a mini satellite image to show the red parts of the degraded peatlands. So first, detect. We want to use satellite imagery. So these are the images we got so far. And because we want to give this projected carbon credit value accuracy, so we hope to use Professor Sang Ho to make up to 0.8 mm a year. And most of us think, do you think these villagers have phones? Yes, they have. More than 90% of households have at least one cellular mobile. And we have also interviewed villagers to find out every village have 30 to 50 villagers who know how to restore, just no motivation. So we hope to pay them something like Bifrost, something in Indonesia, to pay them directly. And also, lastly, so how do we gain revenue? How do we pay these villagers? We will generate high-integrity carbon credits that can sell and work with banks like Transition Finance Framework. I know it's not on the slides, but recently we have won a UOB pitch competition, and hopefully we can work together with them so we can make this happen. So how does our project help? We hope to build a credible and community-driven systems where villagers get the money they deserve when they restore these peatlands. They restore peatlands and also get rewarded. We hope to capture 10% of the market. Remember the 6 billion? We hope to capture just 10% of this. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for these wonderful presentations. Now you have to give me the clicker, otherwise we cannot move on. So, Team Plan X, please come on stage. Oops. here you go. The stage is yours.
Thank you. Just the green button, I guess. Good afternoon. I'm from Team PlanXense, and what do? We provide 7-day in advance pest infestation risk predictions for ecosystems such as forests and also agricultural fields. Why do we do that? So we see that pest outbreaks cause major ecological damage as well as economic losses. In agriculture alone, we see that up to 40% of crop yields every year around the globe are lost due to pests and diseases. And not just in agriculture, also in forestry we see that issue. For example, here in Germany, we see that due to one single pest, the bark beetle, 70% of damaged log timber is logged just because of this pest. However, critical information on upcoming infestations is currently reaching the end user too late, so foresters and farmers, up to 7 days too late. And with climate change, we also see that pests are more thriving in a hotter climate, causing more damage. So we made it our mission to predict pest outbreaks 7 days in advance to help land managers such as foresters and farmers to act proactively and contributing to multiple of those SDGs. How do we do that? And before explaining the solution, I want to emphasize again, this is about prediction, not just detecting damage. So we have an AI prediction engine, and we are using 3 types of data. First of all, weather forecast data. Secondly, ground observations, such as pheromone traps where beetles are captured. And lastly, satellite data, multispectral and hyperspectral imagery. And with this, we create our 7-day advanced risk prediction infestation maps. They are also very location specific. So how is this useful to the end user? And what are the benefits? Our product will look like this. We will have a web portal you can log in as a forester or farmer. You will see the risk level for the upcoming 7 days for infestations for your land as a low, medium, and high risk. As a forester, you may be able now to optimize your ground scouting activities for infested trees, and you can save some timber value because if you sell healthy trees, you cut them down early due to predictions, they are worth more than infested trees. And in agriculture, you can optimize your spraying activities, reducing pesticide use, as well as harvesting early if you are at the end of the season already. So I want to quickly also highlight why this is a very, great innovation as compared to the competitor landscape. We have looked into public projects and Earth observation companies and more, and in fact, we really did not find a single project service that does predictions. It's always about detection and early warning. So how does our prototype work? We had data available from the Bavarian Forestry Institute. It's essentially pheromone traps that capture bark beetles. And we achieved a prediction accuracy of 1 week ahead of 86%. And I want you to look at the right image, which is a time series. We trained the model on historical data and validated on 2024. And for every week, you see the accuracy, sometimes even reaching 100%. There are 2 evident dips. Yes, this was due to a lack of satellite data, due to cloud cover. And in the future, we will bridge this by sourcing more satellite imagery. But if this imagery overall does not fulfill our requirements, time-wise, spatially, spectrally, yes, we also aim at our own satellites in space. So, actually, we have shared this with the Bavarian Forestry Institute, this low-cost prototype that was just built on free accessible data, and they were very happy with the results, such that now we will actually test it with them. Through more than 20 expert interviews, we found that the market in agriculture is even more valuable, which is why we transfer our learnings into that market as well, still this year. So the beachhead market still is forestry. And what do we sell? Predictions as a subscription-based service, to whom we are now focusing on larger landholders, so B2B and B2G. But there's huge potential for scaling, same technology, but trained on different data, with different pests and crops, and then the farmers will be our customers. What's the roadmap ahead? This year we will finalize our forestry product as well as expanding into agriculture, and we will research more satellite data as well as the perfect requirements to potentially launch our own satellites into space. With the GSC money, we would buy some sensors.
Please come to an end.
Yes.
Please come to an end, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So this is our team. We have a team ranging from backgrounds in ecology up to space engineering, even someone who is operating space satellites in space as we speak, and also background in agricultural consultancy, so we can actually make this very ambitious plan work. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I'm sure we are going to see much more from your team. And now I would like to welcome on stage Team Electrocean. Here you go. You also have 5 minutes. Thank you.
Hello. Together at Electrocean, we have built the most economical way to save our oceans. Global fisheries are in collapse. Why? Poor water quality. And what's the best way to improve water quality? Oysters. They're nature's natural filters for the sea. So why have we seen an 85% collapse in the global oyster stock? And why has the world's largest oyster-producing estuary seen a 99% collapse in its own populations too? Historically, it's been over-harvesting, pollution, and disease, but now a new decimator is on the table, ocean acidification, which literally dissolves the oysters. We come from coastal communities, and there are 3 billion people around the world in coastal communities. We've witnessed firsthand the impacts of climate change on our coastal communities, and they're in this downward spiral. And it first starts with oyster stock depleting that causes collapses of other fisheries. And without fisheries, where is the money from? And without this money, how do they get technology to adapt and even come out of this cycle? We need a solution, and this solution must counteract ocean acidification, but not only that, it must be affordable to these communities that need them most. The good news, we have that solution, a solution that can 4x the revenue currently produced by oyster farmers.
So we place a steel mesh on the seafloor upon which oyster farmers place their oyster cages. We use seawater electrolysis to generate a alkalinity field around the mesh and the oyster cages, which is proven to boost oyster growth and survival by more than 2 times. We combine this with our labor-saving reel, which allows a single farmer to easily roll in lines with hundreds of cages, massively cutting down on the labor required to farm oysters. So we have tested our prototype in the field, and we have validated its effects on improving the on anti-acidification and on labor saving.
Since May 2025, spurred on by industrial momentum and in no small part by the Global Sustainability Challenge, we have developed this solution and raised $14,000 from SAFE funding and pitch competitions to get this prototype to the state that it is in today. We plan to, based off of the progress that we've made, to raise $800,000 incrementally to work out a commercial pilot program that we can work with our ready-to-deploy today oyster farming partners to implement in the coming summer so that we can iterate rapidly and scale as we get funding sources in so that we can immediately deploy solutions. We plan on raising this money not just from venture capital, but by collaborating with our pilot partners and leveraging the wealth of nonprofit groups, for example, the $100 million that have already gone into specifically oyster restoration activities in our beachhead market of the Chesapeake Bay. We want to also leverage these nonprofits because they'll help us track and improve the environmental as well as the commercial aspects of this solution as we de-risk it and make it ready for mass implementation. The pilot program is just the start, though. Using the tight-knit oyster community in the Chesapeake Bay, we can scale upwards to it, eventually getting it back to its pre-devastation oyster population, over 100 times the population of today, which will have numerous positive impacts for the local economy, but also allow us to scale this solution farther, even up to the billion-dollar US market, and hopefully, I mean, as oysters grow everywhere, in every coast that's temperate, the whole world. We safeguard them throughout the value chain so that farmers make sure that they're not losing their money, because as soon as the oyster comes out of the hatchery, we're guarding it against acidification with these electrified solutions, so that since their finances are safeguarded, the oysters can do the environmental work of capturing carbon. Capturing carbon, which has a macro-scale impact on reversing climate change, and then filtering water, which has a micro-scale impact on the validity of fisheries, because the clearer your water is, the better your photosynthesizing underwater plants can work, the better crabs can hide in them, the better seaweed you can raise. Ultimately, the oysters are the start, and by saving them, that one fishery, you can save 3 or even more fisheries for just that investment.
The team of founders have been together for more than 5 years working on this, and we hail from the top universities around the world with expertise in everything from the ecosystem to the electrolysis. We'd like to thank our mentors who have been along this path with us. And if you would like to reach out, contact me at faith@electrocean.eco. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this wonderful presentation. And we are coming to the last team for today. GH Solar, the stage is yours. This is your clicker. These are your microphones. Please go ahead.
Hello, judges, impact investors, everyone. I present to you GH Solar Equalizers. My name is Hassan, and as a young researcher and farmer, climate change stopped being a buzzword for me when I uncovered projections which indicated that it would account for a 20% decline in agricultural productivity in northern Ghana. So I embarked on a mission, and within this mission, I uncovered ignored perspectives, which further exacerbated the climate crisis in my region. This is the truth we often ignore. Women in northern Ghana, and in Ghana generally, account for 73% of the agricultural workforce, yet they have limited access to land, labor, and capital. Interestingly, women constitute more than half of the agricultural workforce and still grapple with a 34% gender pay gap, which means these women who constitute more than half of the agricultural workforce have a very huge untapped potential. So we asked ourselves, what if we could do something about this problem? So inspired by successful models, which have been women-led, such as the Village Savings and Loans Associations, GH Solar Equalizers was born. Now try to imagine this. Instead of women farmers, who usually spend hours on the field with buckets to irrigate a few crops, these women farmers, this system of ours is able to pump water directly from source into tanks, which powers drip and sprinkler irrigation, guided by IoT sensors, that is able to monitor soil temperature and moisture in real time. The result, no more drudgery associated with rural agriculture, and also no more reliance on diesel generators for irrigation. This system of ours also incorporates a fish farming component, which helps to diversify the income of women farmers. And since we are displacing diesel generators as part of our solution, we unlock carbon revenue that can be used to maintain the system. Interestingly, this system would be run on a pay-as-you-go financing model, and more so, the system is run on a pay-as-you-go financing model, and then women farmers are able to utilize, the system is also managed by women-led cooperatives. But then we did not just assume the solution. We actually spoke to women farmers. 21 out of the 25 people we interviewed said yes to our solution because they saw the impacts. They said it was easier, cheaper, and flexible to use. But then that did not end there. Based on the feedback we received from women farmers, we were able to refine our original model by aligning payment with harvest and making training a part of their entire journey. Because at the end of the day, we believe that adopting our system is not just about the access it gives you, but the confidence to use the system.
Now I want to show that GH Solar Equalizers is not just innovative, but a high-impact investable model. We use a blended finance model, grants, concessional loans, and public-private partnerships with main revenues from crop and fish sales and pay-as-you-go irrigation fees. We also add carbon credits as an additional revenue stream, strengthening our model even further. With $35,600 in cost, one unit of 3 cooperatives can generate around $147,000 in revenue in 6 years before a total payback, and after that, generating pure profit and impact for nearly 2 more decades. For the women, this means roughly 20% higher yields and incomes, plus lifetime savings from fuel replacement and manual irrigation replacement. We do not just hope this will work. We have tested it against what can go wrong. If we did nothing, risks like water shortage, hardware failure, theft, and currency swings could cost around $10,000 a year. But with our protection measures in place, such as storage tanks, local technicians, community guards, and forward contracts, we remove about 3/4 of the financial risk. From here, we grow step by step, from a small pilot to full scale up. Each new cooperative built on the success of the last, creating more impact across more women farmers, across more communities, and across more farmland. Over time, we aim for a women-led solar irrigation and fish farming network that can lift whole communities, cut emissions, and make Northern Ghana a showcase for resilient, climate-smart agriculture across Africa.
Building on that, let's talk about impact. 3,000 women will be benefited directly, and 15,000 people will be touched. And also, we're also going to train 100 women to install, to maintain, and to lead. They are not users, but the leaders of the community. Most importantly, what we are doing is aligning very closely with Ghana's national gender policy by giving women more access. Now for the climate, our project could lead to 40% less water, 20% stronger against drought, and 50% higher yields. And every year, we're going to replace 112,000 cubic meters of diesel pumping, which could lead to 20% less CO2 emission, where we have more output, less input, and less risk. And our solution is a very powerful contribution to Ghana's climate change policy aspiration. Our solutions also drive impact across agriculture, energy, and gender, contributing to multiple SDGs. It increases yields, creates jobs, and also provides access to clean energy, and enhances community resilience. And this is a system-level transformation, and we are reshaping how tomorrow function. GH Solar Equalizers don't stop here. We see a world where women are not accessed by what they lack, but by what they can access. And this is about long-term impact. It will be about education, empowerment, and opportunities that not only provided for today's women farmers, but also for their daughters who will reshape tomorrow. GH Solar Equalizers always believe in this. Be the change you wish to see in the world. And thank you very much for listening. And we also want to express our big thanks to our mentors, Glenn and Jessica, for all of the continuous support of the journey. Thank you.
Thank you very much. What a great energy to finish the presentations. Please bring your microphones over here, put them on the pult, and give me the clickers. Thank you so much. Really great energy. And now, it is my great pleasure to introduce Arun Majumdar, the Dean of the Stanford Doerr School of Sustainability, who basically had the idea for the Global Sustainability Challenge. And it's always a great pleasure to work with our friends from Stanford. And Arun is a very impressive person, and I'm really glad that I was able to meet him. He's a very inspiring leader. He is the founding director of ARPA-E, former Undersecretary of Energy, and a member of the National Academy of Science and Engineering, whose pioneering work across government, industry, and academia has helped to shape America's energy and climate future. Unfortunately, Arun cannot be with us here today in person, but he shared a video message with us.
I want to take this opportunity to thank the Technical University Munich and President Hoffman for your hospitality and support for hosting the finals of the inaugural Global Sustainability Challenge. Sustainability involves access to affordable and clean energy, to fresh water, to food, to biodiversity, to our ecology, and public health. And climate change affects all of it. While the challenges in sustainability may be local, what is common across the world is everyone is facing them in different ways. And our actions and solutions in sustainability must improve the quality and security of people's lives. Otherwise, they will not be adopted. They may not matter. We launched the Global Sustainability Challenge to stimulate the creative juices amongst our youth and to identify the best solutions that can not only be used to address local needs, but are also scalable to broader global community. We all felt that one of the best ways to achieve this is to create a competition to get the best out of people. So thank you to all the founding partners for coming together to form this network and for supporting our students. The participation has been so impressive. We saw more than 3,000 people from 91 countries in this inaugural year. And this is what really gives us hope. So thank you to all the participants. You dedicated your talent and energy to develop real-world solutions. Congratulations to all of you. To me, you're all winners. But let me also say, there are two groups of some real winners. Number one are the people and the communities that are receiving your solution to have a better life. They are winners. And the second is the network that you're now forming amongst the youth. I really hope you stay in touch, because this network could be used in many other different ways as you navigate a changing sustainability landscape in the future, where you may need to help each other out in the future. With that, I'm going to hand off with the announcement of the winners. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Arun, for these inspiring words. And now it is my great pleasure to welcome here on stage Mr. Professor Thomas Hoffmann, the president of the Technical University of Munich, a visionary leader whose commitment to building one of the world's great entrepreneurial universities has created the very ecosystem that empowers the next generation of innovators, making this challenge and your journey here today possible. A great applause and welcome to Mr. Thomas Hoffmann. Thank you for being here with us today.
Now, first of all, let me thank you. I just came in and I think your inspiration and your passion immediately spilled over. So I still have the feeling it was a great idea, what just Aaron said 2 years ago, to come up with this idea of an Olympic game and activate the potential of the next generation of innovators, and that's you. And I think you did all a great job. Do you agree? So, I think why this is so important is particular. I always tell to my students at home that I'm history, but you are the future, and you are the drivers to make things better than your predecessors have done, and to come on Earth and to leave Earth in a better status as you found it. And think this is why we are a university. That's why we work for the better of the world, and we need the right ambassadors to do so. And this is you. And what Aaron just said, and I think this is really most important, don't use this just as a travel to Munich. So if you have the possibility to cross-connect across the partner institutions from the various continents, then we can do things much better than many of the politicians nowadays. So you can do things better. You have everything you need. You have good education at the partner universities. You have the inspiration. And you have, I think, the passion to drive things forward. Where's he? Where's now our? Oh. Honestly, I'm really excited now to see who will be the winners. So I heard 40 teams had the possibility to come to Munich. We had the poster sessions and the showcase in the morning, and now here the pitches, but now I think it's the most exciting part, right? But before I hand over one another topic, because the good thing is that we don't have winners. That's a good thing, but the second good thing, and it's that we will have this competition again. So when you come home, tell it to your colleagues that in 2 years, it won't be in Munich probably, it will be somewhere else. We will have such a competition again. And spread this community out into the world, because this is what we need all together. Thank you very much for being here. Enjoy your time in Munich.
Thank you so much, Mr.
So now we announce the winners,
Hoffmann,
right?
for being with us today. And I would like to ask on stage now Niti and Hasman and everybody involved in announcing the winners. And I will grab a microphone for you, and then the stage is yours.
All right. How's the excitement? Woohoo! So, thank you so much, President Hoffmann. Please stay here. You are going to be handing out the certificates. If you think that choosing top 6 teams was hard, don't even ask how difficult it was for the jury members to decide on top 3. I'm going to be announcing the winners for adaptation and resilience. The top 3 teams receive $10,000 is for the first award, $5,000 for the second, and the third team receives $2,500, and all 3 teams get a place on Stanford's Eco Global program. So that goes for both the teams. We will first begin with announcing jury choice awards and then go on to the top 3. For adaptation and resilience, the first jury choice award for cross-disciplinary excellence goes to Team Local. Please come on stage. Please give a bigger round of applause. Teams have worked really, really hard. The second jury choice award for integrated and local solution goes to Team Electrocian. Please come on the stage. No, you can go. We'll call up. Woohoo! The third jury choice award for strategic thinking goes to GH Solar Equalizers. A big round of applause. All right. Is the suspense building up? Drum roll, please. In the third place is Team Piedgard. Team Piedgard receives $2,500 and a place on Stanford's Eco Global program. Second prize goes to Team Eco Molecule. And Team Eco Molecule gets $5,000 and a place on Stanford's Eco Global program. And put your hands together for Team Planet Sense. They are the first prize winners. This is the team from TOOM. So a big round of applause for them once again. Congratulations to all of you. We do have some special mentions. Jury found it, some solutions were so interesting that we do have special mentions for teams on certain categories. We will hand over these certificates later, but I do want to announce the names. Team Samya for a Stealthy Substitute Award. Team Glavita for Down-to-Earth Innovation. Team Tierra Fuse for a unique concept. Team Resilinet for a founder market fit category. And Team Green Preserve Africa for the most enlightening project. All right. With that, so all of these teams that got special mentions, please see us and we'll hand over the certificates. And with that, we'll move over to announcing certificates awards for energy.
All right. Hello, everyone. So I will have the honor to announce the winners of Sustainable Energy. But before, I will start with the Jury Choice Award. So first, for Green Finance, we have Team Amplify Energy. All right. Now for Promising Scientific Impact, we have Team C2 Energy. With one of the youngest team members, I would assume. Now, the last jury choice is for energy impact, and we have Team Royal Spark. All right, now I'm going to announce the top 3 winners, and I will ask all of you to help me with the drum roll, please. All right, so third place goes to Team Junipero Energy. Now, second place goes to, drum roll please, Power Blocks. They're on.
So Team Power Blocks is not here. We saw their presentation online. They're not here, but a big round of applause for Team Power Blocks.
Okay, and now for the first place. The first place for sustainable energy goes to Team Coolfish.
Wonderful.
3, 2, 1. Cool. May I say one sentence? No, we don't have time.
So, thank you so much for this wonderful ceremony. Please don't go yet. We still have some plans. Parul, please join me.
I think we can let you rest. We are done. We just want to, yeah, okay.
So,
Don't follow
just to finalize your words, I just want to quickly mention the special mentions. We have Team Ecosage, Hydrogen to X, and Skycatcher. So congratulations to all those teams as well. You did also a magnificent job.
I already have. Thank you, Mr. Hoffman. And it was so lovely to see all the smiles on all the faces. Just before we disperse, I just wanted to say 2 reminders. One, for all the teams that were in top 3 across energy and adaptation and resilience, please meet me outside because we are going to record a video and send it live for broadcast at the Stanford Sustainability Forum. And then secondly, I would love to invite all the amazing founding partners who made this possible. You know, we are standing here thanks to the generosity of TUM, but many of you have cultivated these communities. So Zhejiang University, Hong Kong UST, IIT Bombay, YGA, Maker Bhavan Foundation, everybody who's on the room, please come on the stage.
Jimmy, Lincoln, Sarah, Werner, Helmut, Lars,
thank you for the support. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So, Jimmy, please come on stage. Lincoln, Sarah, please come on stage. Werner. Helmut,
Right.
please. Lars.
Good to see you. Oh, come on.
I think we have to come a bit
And
to the front.
Now, you can see all the founding partners here on stage, right?
Come a
And
bit
we
to
were
the front.
working morning and night together to make this happen.
We can. I think so.
Should we stand ahead of the desk, in front of the desk?
Could we just,
Probably better, right?
or hold hands, raise hands?
Yeah. Come in front of the desk.
Thank you.
Bit more close.
Parul, please. Come to the front.
Yeah.
Hey, I can stay here.
Okay. Florian's taller.
Very good.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.